Hey, it's the Midnight Raven, and today I may not be monetized currently due to unforeseen circumstances, but that is not going to stop me making content for you guys. Although if you wish to donate, the only way you can donate to me currently is through PayPal. Link is in the description. Every penny will go back into my channel, and it also shows the person that my channel will be monetized, what the Raven crew can do to keep me afloat. So today we are looking at a list challenge. This you probably forgot about. Now, I am an 80s child. If you want to call me a millennial, that is fine. But these are toys that were around, not just in the 80s, but these are like the forgotten toys, the classics, the traditional toys, the toys that were a toy back then, not all these computer games and all that kind of thing that you have now. We're talking toys of days gone by. So let's take a look at this list challenge where we're going to look at 82 forgotten toys. And the question is, how many do you remember or did I play with? So as we go down, we're going to see how many toys I've played with. You can share your comments in the chat, or if you're watching this on the replay, your items in the description that you used to play with. So let's take a look at this first toy. And this is Aquadots. Now, I never played with Aquadots because Aquadots are actually quite dangerous. If you swallow the Aquadots, supposedly, I believe, in your stomach, and they like group together and stuff, that they're very dangerous, apparently. I don't think they're a banned item. They would swallow them, and it wasn't good for them. Next, we have aqua leisure boats. Now, these were little inflatable boats that you could put your kids in that apparently were also quite dangerous. Hence, these toys being, do you remember them? Because they came on the market, they either hurt or killed children, and then quite a lot of these were taken off for various reasons from sale. Now, I do remember aqua pets. And aqua pets, these little pets in this little water enclosure, if you want to call them, and you'd play with them, and they were sweet. There was nothing really exciting about them, but I did have an aqua pet. Next, we have battle pops, spin tops, jewel them. Now, this again, with the ripcord, I'm going to assume was dangerous. I never had them myself, but I can assume something where you have something spinning, turning, a ripcord, which is probably going to give you either whiplash, or the spinning tops are going to take your eye out. So you can see why many of these toys were either a probably discontinued toy. So moving on down, we have Battlefield Earth action figures. Never heard of them. I was never really an action figure person. No G.I. Joe dolls, no Barbies, no Cindy's, no Polly Pockets, none of that kind of thing. Next, we have Bendaroos. Now, I remember something similar to Bendaroos, along the same lines, but I don't think it was it called Bendaroos? Ooh, I don't know. I can't remember. We're not going to put it because I'm not quite sure. Next, we have Ball Blasts or Blast Balls. Don't know anything about it. Again, things like this that are objects that you either throw, catch. Generally, they're taking someone's eye out or they're hurting somebody. Next, I remember blow pens. Now, these were the best thing in the world to use. So the blow pen was basically a pen that you blew into the end of. And as you blew, this paint would come out and you'd make a picture. And most of the time, you'd get black from it and you'd get paint everywhere. They were just messy. Now, I do remember Bratz dolls. They were a big thing, I guess, through the 2000s, 90s, 2000s. They became a big thing until they were told that they looked like hooker dolls. Probably not a good selling point. But they were more popular at that time than Barbie and Cindy. They came out, they were new, they were wild, they had really provocative clothes. They did look like strippers, mind you. Next, we have Chatty Cathy. Now, Chatty Cathy was a doll that spoke to you, and there is nothing more creepier than a doll that can talk. I like dolls that look beautiful, but they don't talk. We're not into any chucky, creepy, freaky, no talky dolls. Thank you. CSI fingerprint analysis kit. Now, this kit, I believe, was banned. And I believe it was banned because some of the powder that was used in it to do the dusting of the fingerprints or something was toxic. We'll have to do a video of discontinued toys and the reasons why, but I believe it was the fingerprint analysis kit that the powder in it was toxic, which is great when you're giving it to children. So I do remember this, and I do remember it being dangerous, and I can't remember if it was discontinued or called back. Next, we have Disney Beanie Babies. Now, I don't remember Disney Beanie Babies, but I do remember Beanie Babies as a whole. They were a phenomenal, profitable thing. Beanie Babies hit the shelves, and they flew off them. I actually have some of my own Beanie Babies. I did a video maybe 6 months ago, back in like September, where I got a bunch of Beanie Babies from, I went to a car show, and this car booter was selling Beanie Babies, and I bought a bunch of them. And some Beanie Babies are worth a ton if you can find the right ones. Next, we have Diva Stars. Now, like I said, and like I will always say, I'm not a fan of dolls. And I'm not a fan of Diva Stars either. Not really my type of thing, I have to admit. Next, we have the Emperor Zurg gun. So Zurg is obviously the baddie from Toy Story in the, was it Zurg from the earlier Toy Story films? Never a fan of guns. I don't even let my children play with guns. I was very against them playing with Nerf guns. Unless someone bought them for them, and then I'm like, I really didn't want to encourage the use of guns. Next, we have a glowworm. Who remembers glowworms? I used to have a glowworm, and it's not really a doll. It was more like a nightlight for me. It was like a comfort thing more than a doll for me. It was just that little bit of comfort that you need as a child. Now, Hema beads with these beads, and I think used to make bracelets with them. And again, kids used to swallow these. What is it with kids putting things in their mouths? Like, children, do you not learn? Harry Potter levitating challenge. Well, I'm sure some kids have tried to levitate, but I bet it wasn't using this challenge. Don't remember that. Hot Wheels Shark Bay Track. Now, this was really cool. This was the Hot Wheels track where your car would zip through the mouth of a shark. Back then, boys were crazy for this. Anything Hot Wheels back in the day hit the shelves and would just go straight out. But nowadays, I don't know if Hot Wheels are as popular. Now we have Magic Goo Balloons. I have never had Magic Goo Balloons. If you know what they are, comment down below. Now this is Magnetics, I think it was pronounced. These were also classed as dangerous. Now, these were little magnets on these little sticks, and you could build stuff. Pyramids, statues, skyscrapers, Leaning Tower of Pisa, Eiffel Tower. You could also swallow them. And then if you swallowed them, they'd stick together in your intestines and in your trachea. And they're another lovely hazard toy that was invented. Now we have Marble Maze. Now this was really cool. Marble Maze was a setup where you basically went on different levels. You had spinning things, and you would just put these marbles around them. So it's just a basic marble maze. But you'd spend hours trying to make them taller, make them weirder. Next, we have Snoopy McDonald's toys. Now, I've never had Snoopy McDonald's toy, but I have collected McDonald's toys over the years. I actually do have some McDonald's Wumble toys still in their original packaging. Oh yeah, these are sealed Wumble toys in the original bags. I know, shocking that I actually have something probably worth a little bit of money. Not a huge amount, but still. You got the McDonald's Sonic games. That I don't remember them either. Back in the day, old story, when I was a child, we didn't really go to McDonald's. We couldn't afford to. My parents didn't have that amount of money where we could go to McDonald's constantly. Now we have the Oozinator. Again, never had one of these with everything into guns or goo. I don't like getting messy. Okay, next, password journal. Never had one of these. Again, I wasn't really a girly girl. And I know you're going to say, but journals aren't for girls, are they? I would say so. A bit like having the magic diary where you'd write something in and have disappearing ink. Plastic swords. There was never a greater time to be a child than beating your parent with a plastic sword or jabbing them in the side. Or they'd just be sitting there watching the TV and you'd bonk your dad on the head with it. These were just plastic swords, but they were hours of fun hitting each other as a child. Needed to get out more and like do stuff. Playmobil airport security set. Now, I never had Playmobil. Again, because Playmobil was expensive, a bit like Lego and all that kind of thing. Playmobil was out of my childhood price range. Next, we have Pooch Patrol. I never had too many cuddlies in my life. If I'm honest, I was more like an outdoorsy girl. Razor scooters. Now, I do remember razor scooters. I've never had a scooter myself, but I did buy both my children's scooters. And they had a whale of a time. Now, Roboraptor, again, I was more like the techie kid, the geeky kid, the nerdy kid. Roboraptor would have been my ideal present if my parents, once again, could have afforded it. And obviously, the classic Robo Sapien. This little guy would move, he would dance, he was a hoot. Didn't own one, couldn't afford one. Things like this, when they came out, were so expensive and everybody wanted one. They were like the hit toy for that Christmas. Now, Scoobies. Now, Scoobies were little bracelets that went around your wrist, and they were basically like friendship bracelets. That's literally all they were. Nothing fancy or anything really about them, just like friendship bracelets. Stick-on earrings. Now, I don't have, my ears pierced, and stick-on earrings were just crazy. There were these little like stickers that you just stuck on your ears, and it would look like you have earrings. Tech decks, these were mini little skateboard. You can get the little tech deck half pipe and you'd woo with your little fingers, with your little skateboard. You could change the wheels and change the colors and put decals on the skateboard, and you'd spend many hours doing that, or most people would. Okay, treasures and trinkets. No, never had this. Again, I don't really do jewelry, and I wasn't a girly girl, so it wasn't my thing. Ring toss, this was kind of cool. So ring toss was this little water game. It was in like water, or this like water-esque, and you'd have these little rings, and the idea would be to get them to attach to these little sticks, if you want to call it, that were in them. You'd spend hours trying to do it. It was a typical stocking present, at least in the 80s. Next, you have Wheeloo. Now, Wheeloo was this really weird contraption where you just have this piece of metal, you'd have this little disc, if you want to call it, and it would like go round and round, and then discs would have different colors on the inside, and it was hours of fun. It was just weird. I never owned one, but I knew people that did. Next, we have wind-up bathtub toys. Now, who doesn't like a little speedboat or a little jet ski that you wind up and in your bath and it goes zooming along? Hours of fun. What are you talking about? You know, instead of having the Titanic in your bathtub, we were having little jet skis. More exciting than a rubber duck, I guess. Next, we have Beatos. Again, I don't know what this one is. No, Bi-Blades with these really little discs, and you put them in this little battle arena and you'd spin them, and the idea was to knock your opponent out of the ring, probably take a kid's eye out at the same time, but they weren't as popular as other things that came out at that time, so they didn't really have like a market for them. Next, we have finger monsters. These were little plastic monsters with weird little faces. They had googly eyes, and you just stick them on your fingers and they'd wobble around, and they had arms that went all over the place. And childhood memories. Next, you have Holly Hobby. Never had one of them. I've never had an eye dog. I never had a lemon twist. Let me know down below if you had any of them three. Bionicles. Now, Bionicles were the more, I want to call them more expensive of Lego. They were similar to Lego, where you make these bionic little men, and I thought they were pretty cool. They were expensive, but they were cool. Next, obviously, everybody knows a BMX bike. If you didn't grow up around a BMX bike or someone that had one, that was probably because you couldn't afford one. I actually had a chopper bike. Yes, I had a red and orange chopper bike. I couldn't afford a BMX, but I did have an old school chopper bike, which I kept for many, many a year. Game Boy camera. No, I don't remember Game Boy camera. I remember Game Boys themselves, but I don't remember Game Boy camera. Let me know down below if you do. I don't remember GoBots. I think this was probably before my time. My Size Barbie. Now, they tried to make it was like a life-size doll of a Barbie, like the height of a child, wasn't it? If I remember rightly. Next, we have Pixel Chicks. I don't remember these. These are like Pixel Chicks, and they'd be in this like I suppose it's a handheld thing. And you'd press the buttons and the little pixel would do things. Water Snake Wiggles. I actually sell these at the Works. We actually still sell Water Snake Wiggles to this day. If you go to the Works website, you can see Water Snake Wiggles on there. They're generally blue, yellow, pink. They usually have glitter in them, and all you do is shake them, and this water inside moves around, and it kind of makes a ripple effect. If you want to buy them, we actually sell them at the Works. They're £3 or £4. Mighty Beans. These were fun but dangerous. Again, for some reason, kids like putting things in their mouths, and I cannot understand why. Okay. Mochi or Mon-Chi-Chi. Mon-Chi-Chi was basically a monkey baby. What else to say? Monkey baby. I don't know why it existed, but it did. Pet rocks. Who remembers paying over the odds for a pet rock? You got a box and a rock. That was it. Pet rocks were selling for around 40, 50, £100. And all it was a USB pet rock, and these things were crazy wanted. They were the toy of the time for unknown reasons. Super soakers. If your dad didn't buy you a super soaker when you were little, he was an uncool dad. There was nothing better than in the summer shooting at your parents in the hot summer. Crazy Bones. I remember Crazy Bones were little plastic figures, and you could collect them. And they were amazing. I remember spending hours collecting these and playing with them. Next, you had Creepy Crawlies. This was another thing that I believe was either discontinued or banned for some unknown reason. Probably due to something in it. But we're going to do a video on discontinued toys. I think we should do one. Lincoln Logs. Lincoln Logs were logs that you made stuff out of. Log cabins, houses. They were a uniquely, I'd call it boring pastime until things like Lego and that came along. These were just logs, and as you can see, they built like little log cabins and stuff. Raggedy Ann and Andy, these were two dolls. I can't remember what came first, Raggedy or Andy, or Ann and Andy, sorry. But these were just two dolls. They were weird. They looked creepy. Weebles, these were really weird little eggs. These were Weeble eggs, and you got the Weeble Farm, the Weeble Fun Fair. They were a craze that went too far as well. Next, we have fashion plates. Now, fashion plates were a way for girls to design clothes. You get these fashion plates. You'd use them to design clothes, and then you'd color them in. And it was to encourage women to get into the fashion world. Nintendo Wii. Obviously, now we have the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Wii, when it came out, was a big thing. It was all about fitness. Instead of playing a game on your butt, it was about getting up, motivating you, getting you moving, getting the family to join in, keeping the kids fit. Pick-up sticks. We actually sell pick-up sticks once again at the works. Check us out. Pick-up sticks was a game where you get a bunch of sticks, you throw them on the floor. Sounds exciting. And the idea... just get sticks in. And then you'd pick up a stick, and the idea... was to pick up so many of your own color or something. Next, we have Floam. I have no idea. Heelys. Heelys were a terrible conception of trainers with wheelies in them, or Heelys. These were shoes that you would walk along, you'd kick the back out, and this wheel would pop out, and then you would use that to go around on. And they were actually banned in many shops due to scuffing the floors. Quints were little dolls. I don't know much about them. Pretty Pretty Princess was a game, I believe. Don't know much about that. Zuzu Pets were these cute little furry pets. They made noises. And it was like having a real hamster, but not having a hamster. If you didn't want your kids to have real pets, this was a way of them having a little pet. Now, Jax was dangerous. Jax was a game. You had a ball, and I believe you threw the Jax to the ball. Now, kids again would swallow them, and these would get stuck in their stomachs. Next, you had moon shoes. Never had moon shoes, but these were shoes that you could put on to feel like you were walking on the moon. For what reason? I don't know, but parents apparently bought the kids these. Magnadoodle, again, this was quite cool. I did like anything that you could try and be crafty and draw with, but I was terrible at it. The same as Spirograph. Who doesn't remember using a little Spirograph thing? Now we just have things called iPads, where you do your art and that on there, and kids don't really need Spirograph anymore. Betty Spaghetti was a really weird girl and doll that had really weird hair, and she had weird arms, and she was just a freaky doll in my case. Then you had Hip Clips. I didn't have any of these, unfortunately. Cabbage Patch Dolls, once again, we didn't do dolls, and we didn't do Polly Pocket because I wasn't a girly girl. Then we move on to Pound Puppies. These are adorable. So these were Pound Puppies, and these were little doggies. They usually came with their own little house. I had a Pound Puppy that came with its own little bag that you keep it in to say when it was born. And it was kind of cute. Next, we had Pogs. Does anyone remember the Hours of Joy of the Pog? You basically have a Pog. You'd have your own Pog, and you'd snap it by pressing it down on the other one. And if the Pog flipped to the right side, you got to keep the Pog. And the idea was to win all the Pogs off the other person. Barrel of Monkeys. I've never played Barrel of Monkeys before. I've seen Barrel of Monkeys. I know it's a barrel with some monkeys in, and you take monkeys out or something. And then Silly Putty. Never used Silly Putty before. And down to the last two items. Who doesn't know about the Furby? These weird little creepy dudes that kind of look like a gremlin mixed with like something with big bulgy eyes, like a fish. These things were creepy. They talked to you, but you could get ones that spoke different languages. And then some of them spoke really weirdly. And as their batteries drained, they'd speak even weirder. And the classic Tamagotchi, which you can still get Furbies and Tamagotchis to this day. Tamagotchi was a virtual pet. So if you were like me and your parents were like, no, we're not having any more pets, you could have your own penguin, your own cat, your own dinosaur, and you'd keep them alive, you'd feed them, you'd play with them. And there were people around the world, in Japan, China, and across the country, to see who could keep the pet the longest. I think there's a world record for keeping the longest pet Tamagotchi alive. I think a guy even married his Tamagotchi, if I remember rightly. There's some weird people out there. But that is the end of the list. This was a long one because I like talking sometimes and I can never stop. And we got 38 out of 82. You did better than 70% of users. You ranked 129 out of 429. And I beat the average of having known or played with at least 30. So there you have it. That a longer video because I am trying to get the watch time. I'm currently looking at over 200 hours of watch time that I need to get my channel re-monetized due to extenuating circumstances that I'm not going to highlight because the person doesn't deserve it. If you want to like and subscribe and give us a big thumbs up. If you want to support the channel, please donate to my PayPal. It keeps me in business while I'm waiting to reapply for monetization because currently all my money is stuck with YouTube, and I would really appreciate the help to keep me afloat while I'm waiting. If you want to like and subscribe and give it a big thumbs up, that is free. Comment down below all the toys you knew from this video. Like and subscribe, and I will see you very soon for another video. Take care and thanks for watching. Bye, guys.